Good evening, everyone. We're just sending out the tweets, and then we'll get started. Well, not quite, but, usually how this goes. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy holidays. Other stuff that I need to throw in there. Let's see. So, there we go. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Gathering has begun. The first gathering, 2018. It's a momentous occasion, Alex.
Yeah.
One I don't know if we can rise to. We haven't done it before, have we?
Well, we have for the last.
Oh, well, in
4
that case,
years.
we're fine. In that case, we're fine. All right, cool.
Yeah.
There we go. So you guys get a special hint tonight because we're going to do something unique with our live chat. Not only are the questions going to be asked of the panelists, but they're going to be asked of you as well. I'll go into a little bit more detail when we record, but we would love to hear you guys' answers for the best and worst of 2017. We're not going to worry about it 2018 for now. We already have some horrible stories to cover next week. Tonight, it's the best and worst of 2017 because we're burying that. We're burying 2017. We're done. We're not talking about it no more.
Yeah. Stick it in the grave. We're done.
I was going to go stick a fork in us. We're done. But that works too. Yeah. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Okay. Yeah, trust me. Alex has already found a few stories that we need to talk about next week. And I really hope they blow over so that we don't have to talk about them next week. Because that's all I'm aiming at. We can all be nice to one another, right? Goodwill towards men. I know it's past Christmas. What?
I said it's not Christmas anymore.
I don't care. Live Christmas 365 days of a year.
Oh God, I cannot do that. I'm
not talking your Christmas. I'm not talking the retail version of Christmas.
Well, that's all Christmas is anymore.
I'm talking living the spirit of Christmas 365 days a year. Do you realize how happy you would be throughout the year if you did that? Speaking as a guy who tries very hard to do that, it actually works. Not trying to brag or anything like that, but I'm just pointing it out. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. So how are things getting situated at home?
Unfortunately, he's not back from the hospital. I guess there's some more post-surgery complications going on.
Oh.
So hopefully he'll be home tomorrow, I hope.
Probably for the best. It's not a good idea to bring him home if he's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was being vague so you didn't have to talk about it if you didn't want to. You could just have answered a yes or a no question because we are live. So,
well, couldn't really. Well, you didn't ask me in a form of a yes or no question. You asked me an open-ended question.
Just open-ended, so you could give an answer or whatever. Oh, so just in case people or you are interested, Alex, a guildmate of mine wanted to remind you now that now Anime Strike doesn't exist on Amazon anymore.
Yeah, so
and you can have all of that on Amazon Prime. You can have such amazing anime as Scum's Wish at your disposal on Amazon Prime.
They have other good shows I've heard. I think they had Made in Abyss.
They have like 2 or 3, but Strike didn't have that many. It's like, I think they have 8 to 10 series to their name or to their service. So yeah, that didn't work out so well for Amazon. Maybe we should just let the anime streaming services handle that. Like Crunchyroll and Netflix.
Ugh, Netflix.
There aren't any others. not to public mind.
Okay. Well, the only problem
is Verve?
The only problem, Netflix still can't get on the seasonal bandwagon here, and they still keep releasing everything after it's done.
Well, that's what they're getting contracts for. Netflix is not really interested in getting current anime seasons. That's not why people go to the service.
They get current stuff. They just don't air it when it's current.
Yeah, I know.
That's the problem. And then it's like, why are you bothering getting into the seasonal anime business?
Because we want a piece of that.
I know, but you're not, at the same time, you're not offering people what they ask for. That is,
I'm answering your question. You just don't have to like the answer.
I know. I don't like the answer. That's why I'm responding.
Yeah, I'm giving you the answer. I'm not saying you have to like the answer. That's their answer for it. It's like, oh, we want a piece of that action. Oh, well, we're late to the party. Too bad. We have Daredevil. We have House of Cards. Well, we won't have House of Cards after this year. But anyway, look at the Pretty Bunny.
Oh, 11 months anime strike ran, so just barely under a year it came.
Yep, we announced its inception, and now next week we can announce its destruction.
Yeah.
Yes, for all the people who are hoping that we will do like coverage of stuff that's happened recently.
Next week.
Drac wants to talk about happy stuff this week, even though it's fleeting, because we will talk about the worst. Drac wants to talk about happy stuff. We're not talking about the stuff that already pisses Drac off. That's what next week's for.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, guys, January is also kind of a slow news season anyway. So I might as well just move that stuff over. It's not that I don't love you. It's that I love myself more than I love you.
Wow.
The more you know. What, not even a pity laugh for that one? Okay.
Not really. That was terrible.
By the way, do things sound okay? I'm using a fuzzy top, so I'm not sure if it's...
Yeah, you sound fine.
I gotta get more fuzzy tops. We're running out of... Or we only have the 3. We need more. Let's see... So yeah, we're going to be asking these questions of you guys as well. So like, we're going to get into the best games, best movies. We're not necessarily going to get into like the best TV series or best anime, but we are also going to get into some podcast related details of like the best story that we covered this year, the worst story we had to cover, that stuff too.
That's the problem, because I can't even remember everything we've covered.
It's all right. It's all right. Just the stuff that sticks out to you. That's really all that matters.
I'm racking my brain to think what we talked about.
See, the worst is going to be really easy this year. Like, I want to say a couple of years ago, the best was really easy to do. But this year it's the worst because we've covered a lot of depressing stuff. It's almost like I should have paid K2SO to bring back the Prozac budget. But I am a Grinch and therefore didn't want to pay him. Or I guess I'm a Scrooge.
You're a Scrooge. McDuck.
I like swimming in my money, not giving it out.
That's true. He does.
Sorry. I just like swimming in my money. I don't swim so much as I dog paddle in it. My money bin that's like miles away from me. Let's see. But yes, I saw your coverage of the one guy. I'm not even giving him his name this week. He gets to be mentioned next week. Which at that point I'm going to have some things to say about him, but also about the internet as a whole in regards to that situation.
And YouTube, I think.
Oh, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody isn't handling this right. Trust me, I didn't even find out when you linked it. I found out another really stupid way that we'll talk about next week, and I have a problem with how everyone's reacting to this. But I've been on vacation, so I don't know what I'm talking about, do I? No. Hey, look, Romney, you didn't walk in on something weird.
No, just something depressing.
Yes. I'm starting to wonder if maybe it was a bad idea to fire K2SO in the Prozac budget last year.
Well, wasn't so much that he got fired, more got recommissioned by the Empire.
Mainly because we couldn't pay him anymore.
Well, yeah. Then I may have sold him back to the Empire to cover a few debts. Again, don't mess with Jabba. That's all I can say. Don't mess with Jabba.
Exactly. You mess with Jabba? Crap, I can't even... You don't even know what's going to happen to you.
Well, let's just say he won't just put you on ice.
Oh, no. He'll put you in the sand, which is coarse and rough and gets everywhere. Too soon? Okay. All right. And Brinton, how are you?
Good. How are you?
What's up? I'm doing all right.
I know, making weird noises already.
Yep.
Nothing's changed.
Actually, everybody, you want to give a quick retweet for people so that people know that we're live.
I already tweeted it.
I just need
to
stop being faster than me.
I'll retweet it.
I just need to find the thing. It's just, it gets weird because I have to navigate between browsers because Google Hangouts hates Firefox for some reason.
Yes,
in fact, weird because I not in my stream last week, but before that I was just in a private video call with Anime Atlas, my friend, and I was able to run it on Firefox. But when I tried to stream on Firefox, it didn't work again. So I don't get it.
It's just
I would say don't worry about it. Let's see. Oh, I forgot that I can do this. Let's see. No, we're not doing that. Screw you. Okay. Cool beans. So, like I just said early on in the stream, and I will go ahead and repeat to you guys. So, no new stories this week. I didn't even make an agenda because it's the best and worst of 2017, everybody. And we're actually going to involve the live chat and ask what you guys... So, along with the questions that we're going to ask the panel, we're going to ask you guys the exact same thing, and you guys can let us know what you thought of 2017 as well. We'll worry about the stories next week because if people don't remember, January is also kind of a slow season for news. So we could talk about all the things that have pissed us off while we've been on vacation later. Hopefully they'll blow over and we don't actually have to talk about them.
Let's hope.
Yeah, you're kind of raising your hopes a little too high there, Adam.
I always do. I know you bring it up to me all the time, Romney, but I know I do. I know. But one can always hope. Okay, so just get everything going. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. I should have done tonight. I've already had to run around and get energy out of my daughter. And now I'm out of breath. For like the 14th time today. She literally is just like bouncing off the walls kind of today. She's like she's sluggish today too.
Oh, bless her little soul.
It just reminds you of this really weird, it was like a meme someone posted of these ankle weights that are meant to slow toddlers down.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it gets funny because the person commented saying, you know what's scarier than a hyperactive toddler? A hyperactive toddler who's never missed leg day.
A guildmate of mine actually said that somebody needs to create the Professor Briefs ship that Goku travels to Namek in for toddlers and for children, and just like whenever they have way too, like they're bouncing off the walls too much, you just increase the gravity.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? Yeah, that tool needs to be invented.
Yeah, it sounds cool until you realize the science. It would actually be scary.
Yeah, it actually is, but it's like, oh, okay, this is not hard for you anymore. Well, kink. Now you guys are down on the floor again.
Well, then you risk basically having a baby Broly. That's what you're asking for there, is a baby Broly at that point.
Kid innately at 10,000. If I had a boss, this would be amazing, but I am the boss. So it's even more amazing.
Although that does raise the question, I'm guessing that would mean Yamcha is a lot stronger than even he realizes, considering he was able to survive 300 times gravity without dying.
Yeah. Plot inconsistencies, thy name is Dragon Ball.
Yep.
But I love you, so.
Well, somewhat. Again, it's got some problems, but it's still enjoyable. Because when I got to do a trial of PlayStation View, I watched some of the episodes on Adult Swim, and I'm thinking, okay, I can see why it has its appeal, because it draws you in, it gets you engaged as it's airing. But then as you stop watching, you realize, wait a minute.
Oh, you mean Super?
Yeah, Super.
Yeah. There's some issues.
Yeah,
I love it just as much as anybody else, but then at that point, once the episode goes off, like you're saying, is like, oh wait,
yeah, because literally the episodes
here's a plot hole, and here's a plot hole, and here's a plot hole.
Well, yeah, the episodes that I saw during that trial, it was like the end of the first inter-universe tournament between 6 and 7.
Yeah,
I literally caught the tail end of Goku's fight with Hit, and then basically up until they made the wish on the yet another Dragon Ball MacGuffin thing to restore Earth in Universe 6, and that's what I saw, and that's when I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, the Earth, so the Super Dragon Balls.
Yeah, I watched that. I'm just like, okay, I can see why it's engaging in the moment, but if you put too much thought to it, it falls apart.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing, I like a lot of the arcs. I agree with a lot of other people. The movie arcs are lacking. I would say that Frieza's probably better than the movie, but Battle of the Gods is definitely worse than the movie.
Yeah.
But after that point, like if you can get past the Frieza arc and just go right into Universe 6, then it's fine. It's what I would expect.
Yeah. Although I will say this, speaking of shonen revivals, I am excited for the new arc we're getting for Shaman King.
Yes, and isn't Seiya also getting rebooted again?
Yeah, it's getting a Netflix anime. I'm not sure if it's
That's
a
right.
straight.
It was Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a straight reboot or retelling or what have you, because Netflix will do whatever it wants at this point. So who knows? Who knows what they're doing with Saint Seiya? Honestly, even Toei doesn't even know at this point.
Yeah. And I'm not too worried about it. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get this train a-rolling. So if you guys are ready, let me know.
I'm ready.
Sound speed.
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Here we go for the first episode of 2018. And all the marbles? I don't know. Welcome, everyone, to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, the podcast where we talk the week's events in Geek for the first episode in 2018. There were times when we thought 2017 wasn't going to end. And in fact, it slowed down there for just a little bit. But we made it through. All of us together, including you, Phil, in the audience, who constantly complained throughout all of 2017. Yeah, I see you over there. Getting ready to complain about 2018. Wait till next week. And then we'll cover all the crap. Welcome, everybody, once again for the first episode of 2018. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, a.k.a. Drac. I hope everybody's had an awesome holiday season because, well, we were missing for a lot of that. We actually did some bonus episodes for you guys, some of which have actually acknowledged to me that, no, they haven't watched it yet because they haven't seen The Last Jedi, and they don't want us to spoil it. So, there. Well, that's cool. We're all right with that. You can wait on that and get to it whenever you want to. But tonight, we're going to be talking about the best and worst of 2017, the best and the worst that it had to offer. Overall, I'm sure we're all going to have our own viewpoints of how the years went. But let's go ahead and start getting into it by first introducing my panel for this evening. And we're going to start from the right, and that's going to be Studio Ghost Utah, Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost Utah, From the Shelf. I have to make sure that I say these things right. From the Shelf, Rhapsody in Cinema, Monster Clash, and whatever other project he decides to pull out of his butt. Romney, how you doing tonight?
doing pretty good, at least for this first week of the new year. I mean, it's had its fair share of ups and downs, but it hasn't gone completely into a dumpster fire yet, so that's a plus.
That is definitely a plus. I know a lot of people would think that the year's already gone into a dumpster fire, but I would be the guy to say, sit back, take a nice deep breath. It hasn't hit that point just yet. We're only like, 5 days into this thing? We're fine. And we're also being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself, who has decided to join us out of the shadows, even though the shadows were probably a better place to talk about 2017 than in the light of day. Alex, how you doing tonight?
I've had a very busy week because of work, because obviously post-holidays are already crazy, but also what's crazy is we launched right into inventory with barely a week after Christmas.
Yeah.
Prior years, it's always been like, I don't know, middle of January, close to the end of January. This one's like barely a week after Christmas, so
I was gonna say, like, usually they wait like a week or two, like you take all the holiday stuff down, and then like a week or two later is when we hear you're doing inventory.
Yeah, I don't know. It always changes every year, but I mean, this time I got lucky because I didn't have to wake up at the crack of dawn to go scan and count every last item in the store I had to work a longer day today, but that's fine. But it's just been a very busy week, but at least I had a couple days off.
Very nice. And you were also able to get up some videos so people can get off your back about that.
Yes.
That would be great. And then we're also being joined by Brinton Volley of the now dubbed BPV Gaming. Brinton, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
I'm gonna have lots of fun saying BPV Gaming.
Oh, I already struggle to say it. So if you're gonna have fun, then have fun.
Well, I mean, if you want to pay me, I can Don LaFontaine this crap, and you can put it at the beginning of every video. BPV Gaming.
Okay, I'm fine with this.
Aside from that, how are things going for you?
Pretty good. This week went by extremely fast for me. And I've just been getting myself and my channel ready for all the new content that's starting tomorrow. So
very nice. And I actually know some of this content, so you guys can enjoy that as it begins to come out. This is the cool thing is, like, we work together as creators, which means I get the inside seat. Nobody else does. Yeah. And so, yeah, I know what you have coming, and I know you guys will like it. Now, before we start getting into the questions, I'm also going to welcome our live chat and let you guys in on the process that we're going to be doing. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the best and worst of 2017. And that usually talks about the usual questions that we have, except this time, we're also going to open them up to you guys. I would love to see what you guys thought of the best and worst games, the best and worst movies, all of that stuff. But we also got some other left hooks that have been provided not only by myself, but a few listeners on Geek News. So let's go ahead and get things started with a best, because like I said, we're talking about the positive, guys. We're not going to go into all the negative this year, although there was plenty of negative in 2017. And we're just going to go ahead and start things off with the best game you played in 2017. I usually give these guys for a lot of these discussions like a top 3. And this time around, I'm going to shake it up just a little bit. And that is you get your best game, and then you get a runner-up. All right, you get that runner-up. We're just not going to do a top 3 anymore. And you guys can also let us know in the chat what you guys thought, and you also get your runner-up. So I guess I'll go ahead and start things off, and it's very easy. In 2017, since I'm a critic and I played a lot of 2017 games, my number 1, I don't even have to think about it, went to Horizon Zero Dawn, simply because I've played Zelda games before, and I'm not saying that Zelda games are bad. But the bottom line is that this was a new IP with some new ideas, and it made me cry on a number of occasions. And so there you go. It is my number 1 game of 2017, which I guess already spoiled my best games of 2017's top 10 that I've got coming out. So you guys can look forward to that. But that's not the one that was unpredictable. It was highly predictable. I've been saying it all year. My runner-up is Metroid Samus Returns. The only reason I have is I cannot tell you a game that I have literally I played through to the finish and then started it again. I've done it about 3 or 4 times now, just from August, and I've had fun each and every time. The only thing that's been frustrating is that I've been trying to track down that damn Metroid amiibo so that I can get the fusion mode within Samus Returns, which is extra hard, and it's expensive as hell. Holy crap,
that's
man.
going to be a really pricey amiibo.
Like the
You're talking
cheapest,
about...
the cheapest I've been able to find it on was, I think on either Amazon or eBay, it was $150.
Good Lord.
I was like, Jiminy Christmas, man. And I really want this fusion mode. It basically is super hard mode for Samus Returns. And I'm not the greatest player on hard mode, but I can at least survive on it. And so I want to try out the fusion mode and see how hard it is. There you go. That's my best game and my runner-up. So Horizon Zero Dawn and Metroid Samus Returns. Brinton, what was your 2 best games of 2017? There were so many good games to look forward to. What stood out the most?
Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I figured.
And I think I even had mentioned this when we were doing our Q&A for the last show of 2017, or maybe yep. I think I mentioned it. I can't remember, but
we also talked about the Game Awards. So
that makes sense. Well, yeah, then I've pretty much said everything that I can about Breath of the Wild. And at this point, I thought that it was spectacular, and it was it came out a week before my spring break, and I wasn't working at the time, so I was like, I can dedicate myself to this game in its full capacity. And I'll admit, I played it nonstop for a week, and I beat it within a week, and it was one of the greatest gaming experiences I had of 2017, hands down.
Are you telling me that you didn't work at all that week?
I quit. I actually had quit my job 2 weeks before the Switch came out, and I was still looking for, and I didn't have a job I was going to. I just quit, and I just didn't have any work. And then a few weeks after the Switch came out, I got hired on at a place that I actually am no longer working on as well.
Exactly. I was actually going to ask about that, but no, that's okay. If you weren't working, then that's not surprising. Just curious, Alex, how long did it take you? Because I think you were playing for the better part of a month before you said you beat it.
Yeah, I think it was about a month for me to beat it.
I mean, in total, I accrued over 100 hours in the game. And so, I mean, that just tells you how much time I spent awake compared to when I could have been sleeping.
It's true. Well, hey, look, for all the people that enjoyed Breath of the Wild, and I've had this problem all year that people just think I'm pooing on Breath of the Wild. I'm not. I have no problem saying that it is in my top 10 list. It's probably not as high as you think it should be, but it's up there. It's in that list. I don't have a problem with it, but it's not like I don't understand that you guys went out of your way to play it nonstop and go through it as fast as you possibly can. And then in some cases, a lot of people went back for the completionist run. Awesome. To me, that's lasting power for the game. So with that, okay, we have Breath of the Wild. What is your runner up though?
Life is Strange Before the Storm.
I was wondering if that was going to make it. I had not heard anything from you. You went radio silent on the game.
That's because I had to get through. I wasn't sure that they were going to complete the game by the end of the year, but they got all the episodes out every other month started in August when it released, and then ended it they ended it 5 days before Christmas.
Okay.
So I just barely finished the game just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you're talking all the episodes were out by that point.
Yes. The last episode was out on December 20th. And so regardless, the game came out in 2017. I was eventually going to say something about it, but I was hoping that the final episode would be out before this show, and it was. So I can say without a doubt that it definitely is a runner up. It was really emotional. And I don't want to spoil too much about, like, I don't want to spoil anything about Life is Strange because I feel that is a game that everybody should play raw and spoiler free. And Before the Storm is a prequel to Life is Strange. But so, I mean, you get to see a side of certain main characters that for me, I was very attached to. And by the end of it, I was like, I'm satisfied that it's 3 episodes. I wish there could be a little bit more, just like some fun extra side story that has nothing to do with the 3 episodes I just played. But I was satisfied. I was satisfied with it, and it's something that I've decided that I will bring to my channel. When, I don't know, but I will bring it.
All right. So let's go ahead and move. So we have mine, which is Horizon Zero Dawn and Metroid Samus Returns. We have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, followed by Life is Strange Before the Storm. Alex, I already know what your number one's gonna be, so go ahead.
No. Surprise, right? It's also
surprise no one.
It's also Breath of the Wild for me because it's the first Legend of Zelda game that I myself picked up and played. Before that, you and I have played some on the Dragon Shadow channel, and I was starting to get in through that means through our Let's Plays together. But being able to pick it up for myself and play it was a lot of fun, and I had a great time with it. It was great to really experience a Zelda game for myself. I know it's not exactly in the more traditional sense.
And here's the thing, like, for as much arguments as we've actually had, I'm so happy that you, like, this is your first Zelda game and you had such enjoyment out of it, because I mean, for me, that was like the original Legend of Zelda, and I kind of poo-pooed on that, but this was your first legit experience. So I'm glad that it worked out, especially since it was Wii U, a console that you no longer own.
Yeah. Well, I'll get the Switch sooner or later. So,
yeah.
But so that's definitely something I'm looking forward to, is being able to again play it on the Switch, and it played fine on the Wii U. It had maybe a few issues, but it sounds like the issues were present in the Switch version as well. So no big complaints, but it was a great game, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Although I will say, like, this I actually read a lot of the bugs that Breath of the Wild players were having, and it sounded to me like Switch users and Wii U users didn't really have anything that was similar, aside from, I guess, the weird cartridge bug occasionally happened with the Wii U discs too, but I never confirmed that. So here's the shocker. What is your runner-up?
My runner-up.
Oh wait, this isn't a shocker. Never mind.
It probably will be, but my runner-up actually right now is a game that I'm still going through, but I did start it about like a couple of weeks ago. It's actually a game called Blue Reflection, and it's a JRPG, but it's a very kind of non-standard JRPG for that. Even though it's still plenty story heavy, but it's an enjoyable game because it kind of defies a lot of RPG conventions, even though it's a turn-based RPG, so it still has those mechanics. But the leveling up mechanics are fairly simple, and it's got a bit of a learning curve, but it's the same way I approach Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild had a learning curve, and once you start really mastering that learning curve, it becomes instantly a way more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I gotcha. I actually am a little surprised. I thought a certain blue hedgehog would make the runner-up.
Well, if this was a top list, it would be, but so.
Okay, all right. Well, I meant Mania. I have a feeling I know what your worst is going to be.
Sonic Mania would certainly be in the top list there.
There you go. Stephen Romney, what were the best games of 2017 for you, man?
Well, I guess it's a little bit easier for me to narrow down since I didn't play that many new releases this year, but I did play some. So it's more that I've got 2 that are tied for best because one's portable, one's console, and then I have a runner-up that may get me, well, belayed. But
that's what we're here for,
so for the console, like, best console game I've played this year, granted, I've only started it recently, but it came out at the start of 2017, so it counts. And that would have to be Resident Evil 7.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
I saw that you just started that, and I was just like, bless your heart.
Yeah, I mean, it did give me let me tell you, that's basically how I spent my New Year's Eve, was playing the first bit of Resident Evil 7. Granted, it made going to sleep and getting ready to work the following morning a bit of a bear. I mean, I'll give Jack Baker credit. He makes for a good alarm clock unintentionally.
See, now he understands that the problems that I had when I did the damn Drac tries for it. It was like, I only got like 10 minutes in. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. I know what's coming around the corner. I'm not playing this. And then bringing my wife in there, and it didn't get better.
Yeah. And it didn't. And then additionally, it didn't help when I was like, oh, Nathan and I, we're kind of playing it too. I mean, we haven't finished it by any sense of the word, but I was just like, oh my gosh, it's pretty terrifying. Like, yes. I'm terribly shook right now. I don't know how to handle my life.
See, everybody thought that Capcom was just going to gently shake the door of horror when this game came out. Nope, they came careening through that door with a chainsaw in their hand.
Yep, and that's
I
the thing.
Screamed.
Yeah, and here's the thing. And the way I've been playing it, I have the headphones on connected to my PS4 controller, so I'm like fully immersed.
And bless your soul again.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because literally I started by playing through the beginning hour demo, since that has additional story content, and then I figured, okay, I'll play through beginning hour. Then I started the game proper. And I've been really enjoying this return to form for Resident Evil. Now, for people wondering, I purposefully held off until they released the Gold Edition with all the DLC. And so that's the version I've started. At the point that I'm currently at, I'm still not very far. I think I'm like right before the second of a major boss fight. I don't want to drop any spoilers in case there are people that want to still try this game, which if you're a fan of Resident Evil in any way, shape, or form, you should, because this is basically what we should have got instead of Resident Evil 5 and 6. I mean, if they decided to remake Resident Evil 1 with this new engine, I'd be down for it. I definitely would want to see how exploring the Spencer Mansion using the RE engine, I want to see how that would look. And so that's why that's my pick for best console game of the year that I've played.
And now, a good one it is. I'll at least say that. A good one it is.
Yeah, now for best portable game, this one's probably going to be a surprise to no one. That would have to be Fire Emblem Echoes Shadow of Valentia.
Okay, you know what? I was actually going to say, no, it's not a surprise for you. You would have shocked me if you said Samus Returns. I'm like, wait, he pulled himself away from Fire Emblem?
Yeah, because I still have yet to actually get Samus Returns, because I want to beat Fire Emblem first. Yeah. I still haven't beaten it because, again, life gets busy. But of the portable games I've played this year, that is the one that's got my most attention. Granted, I still go a little bit crazy in trying to grind people's levels, even though you're not really supposed to do that with Shadows of Valentia. It's just, again, I want to make sure that everyone's at the same level, also trying to grind all the support conversations. And this also ties into my honorable mention, which, like I said, is probably going to get me a lot of flack. But the honorable mention would be Fire Emblem Heroes. I mean, if you're someone who just wants a brief dose of Fire Emblem, but doesn't want to pull out the 3DS, doesn't want to start up a Game Boy Advance game, then you just pull out the phone, play a couple of maps of Fire Emblem Heroes, and that takes care of the craving. And it did a good job of basically keeping me pacified until Shadows of Valentia came out. And so, for best portable game, it's Shadows of Valentia, but Fire Emblem Heroes gets a nice little honorable mention.
Very nice. So we actually had kind of a diverse list here. We had Breath of the Wild mentioned, we had Horizon Zero Dawn, but we also had some gems in that I was hoping would get mentioned. Resident Evil 7. We had Fire Emblem Heroes. We had Fire Emblem Shadow of Valentia. We had Life is Strange. This is amazing. This is why we do the best and worst of 2017, because a lot of us are coming from different angles of life and different passions, and so you do get these awesome answers, including the ones that we could possibly get in the chat. Unfortunately, the ones that we have from the chat are basically that they've been watching streams of people mainly doing Cuphead and Life is Strange, but still, that's a Cuphead mention as far as I'm concerned. So there you go. That's our best games of 2017. Now comes the hard part. We have to talk about the worst of 2017. What is the worst that 2017 offered you? And this one, I'm not even going to give you a runner-up. You gotta do the worst, because all you're doing, if I add a runner-up to this, all you're doing is basically adding polish to a turd. And I don't want you to do that. I don't want to rank the turds. So for me, the worst game that I had to play this year, I don't have to think about it too much. Like if I wanted to tie it, I really could, but I'm going to go ahead and state that Mass Effect Andromeda.
That's completely understandable.
What a loss of hype that game was. Like I was, and here's the thing too, guys, for those who haven't followed my reviews, I haven't finished 3. I actually tried to race through 3 before Andromeda came out and wasn't successful. I got about 3/4 through the game, but I tried to rush through because I didn't want to be spoiled or anything like that. I eventually had to say, screw it. I got to go and review it. And just all the hype that was built for the last 2 years was lost to me. Like that first couple of hours, I had lots of fun. And then crap started hitting the fan about the 3-hour mark. And that's when I started to notice a lot of the graphical problems, a lot of the glitches, and a lot of the bad choices made in this, which makes it very clear to me that this was heavily influenced by EA. This was basically BioWare with EA as the second head on their shoulder and trying to tell us how to make a Mass Effect game. And so, yeah, that was a big steaming pile of disappointment to go through, since I've really loved my journey through the first 3 Mass Effect games. And then to have this offshoot, just, it puts a bad taste on the other 3 games for me now. It really does. Like, I don't want to go back to 3 to finish it. So that's my worst there. If I were to put like a other one that's more indie, like to actually go into AAA and indie, the indie would be Double Dragon 4, because I literally went through half of the game in my 1 hour on Drak'Traz. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a 45-minute episode. I went through half that game in 45 minutes.
That's incredible.
It's a Double Dragon game. Come on. Anyway, so let's go ahead and go down the line again. We're going to go ahead and start with Brinton again. So, Brinton, what was your worst game of 2017?
I think I may have already mentioned this too. Oh no, I know for a fact I've already stated it, but I was waiting till now to explain why. But it's ARMS. So I praise one Nintendo game and then sadly cry over another.
Yes. Well, I actually wanted to ask you, so that they've had some DLC come out since then. Have you been motivated at all to go check out like the new characters and all that?
Oh no, Nathan and I turned in our copy, traded it for an entirely different game. No, I don't know. I guess, I mean, Nintendo has been extremely transparent, so I'm not going to say that they didn't tell us what we were going to expect, because that's one thing I praise about Breath of the Wild. They told us this is what you're getting, and that's what we got, and I was happy.
Yeah.
Because that was the one thing that pissed me off about 2016 was an entire year of, oh, this is what you're getting, JK, come release. Mm-hmm. In 2017, I felt very much, apart from a game here or there, this is what you're getting, and we actually got it. I would agree with you with Mass Effect. Nathan was even super disappointed because he was like, this is your first experience with Mass Effect and this is what you got. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I still would like to go see the first 3 games. I'm not quite sure how I'm ever gonna get around to doing that. Maybe it'll be a triad Let's Play. I have absolutely no idea.
You could do it that way. All of them are pretty lengthy.
I mean, yeah, I could easily do it that way. But anyway, back to ARMS. I don't feel like Nintendo lied or anything, or were being secretive about what the game was going to be like. I guess myself, I was expecting something different than what was being told. And so when it was finally presented, I was just disappointed. So I guess it was just more self-hyping the game, and then I was brought down. Also, another reason, and maybe this is just me, and I just have overanalyzed this game far more than I should, but I kind of hate the Overwatchy-esque like push they're trying to put into game with trying to like push out these characters, and it's like, oh, they contribute to like this strange secretive story that we didn't give you all. And it's like, no, that works for Overwatch. This doesn't work for you, Nintendo. I don't think this is a really good idea. And it was more of a turn off for me rather than, this is the worst way to say it, rather than a turn on. Because when it comes to Overwatch, it's like, ooh, new lore, like, like I'm a total fanboy for it. But when it came to ARMS,
I looked at the ARMS characters as this is almost going to be sacrilege as a Capcom fan to state, but Romney might agree with me on this. When Jury got announced for Street Fighter 4, I was like sitting there going, wait, you decide in DLC to add lore to the game? Why didn't you just add her into the initial roster?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but keep in mind, this is Capcom we're dealing with.
Yeah, this is Capcom. We're talking to completely different companies at this point.
But anyway, that was my worst, and that's the reason why. I know the second reason's kind of really stupid and maybe partly petty, but I just don't like the Overwatch vibe that it gives off, and it doesn't work for the game. It works for Overwatch, and
you'd rather have your Overwatch vibe in Overwatch.
I mean, I'm getting plenty of my Overwatch vibe in Overwatch, but
yeah, exactly.
That's my opinion. Obviously, that's what this podcast is about. Obviously, you all can disagree with me, and that's completely fine. But I mean, still, my main reason is I self-hype myself up for something that I don't know. I was expecting something different, and I wasn't super impressed. And that was a game I was looking very, very forward to. So, I mean, again, I'm sure there's plenty of games this year for people that they were looking forward to, Mass Effect Andromeda being one of them, and it just fell on the floor and
and as one person actually reached out via Twitter and tried to chastise me, what, no Battlefront 2? We knew that was a train wreck walking in.
Yeah,
I don't think that one gets a mention.
Yeah.
Well, it just got its mention, but we knew that was a train wreck.
Yeah,
we didn't expect that of Andromeda.
Yeah, from what I've heard of Battlefront 2, I think it would have just been better if they just sent you a DVD of a slideshow of their trip to the Skywalker Ranch. That probably would have been preferable.
I would have had no problem with that being canon.
But that's all I got for you.
All right, so Alex. Now, just to bring you up to speed, because you had to step away for a second. I'm not giving you a runner-up. The worst game of 2017. Go.
I guess for me, yes, it is indeed Sonic Forces, because it's yet another paltry, boring, automated, scripted 3D Sonic game that we've been getting since, well, Sonic Colors. And this is somebody who really enjoyed Sonic Colors, but at least I felt like Colors had the excuse.
It was the same team that did that too.
Yeah, and Lost World. I mean, it's sort of like with Colors, I'm a little more forgiving of it back then, because I felt like, okay, they're kind of having to reevaluate themselves and kind of maybe take a few steps in a different direction and see what plays out. Nowadays, I just feel like for a big title that they've been hyping up for over a year, and promising for a year, and it just did not deliver in any shape or fashion.
Yeah.
Granted, it's probably not as like terribly clunky and broken as I make it sound, but it's just not fun either. It's like you took a lot of the fun elements, like the wisps from Sonic Colors, and you made them not fun. And you made the avatar moderately enjoyable, but you still made it kind of an annoying gimmick. And again, the story is just not there. There's no story. And I think a lot of people will reiterate that it feels like there probably is, that the script probably got like rewritten and trimmed down like multiple times.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is looking at the credits, there was already a Japanese scenario writer, which is not terribly uncommon for a Sonic game, but at the same time, over the last few years, most of the Sonic games, the 3D ones, have been written by Warren Gaff and the other guy, the writers from Happy Tree Friends. So it sounds like they had quite a few different teams of writers, and clearly none of them were in communication with each other. And clearly Sonic Team did not know how to put a story together.
Yeah.
All I can say is this is something from Brain Scratch, one of the Brain Scratch comms crew mentioned. If you want a fun platforming game with action, adventure, comedy, and, well, real stakes, just go play Freedom Planet. It's about a million times better.
I think in a lot of cases, you probably would have been, you probably would have spent your money better. Actually, while you were talking, I was tracking down. Can I read your texts? Because I think they pretty much summarize your hatred. So what was it? You had had your PS4 for about a week and then Forces.
Yeah.
And I literally get this. I've been fighting Zavok for 9 minutes. I haven't landed a single hit. 25 effing minutes. I landed one hit. I'm done. Ripped out of the console and tossed it across the room. The funny thing was when I actually read this, I'm like, what, you ripped the console off the plug and tossed it at the wall? Dude!
No. I ripped the disc out and tossed the disc on more than one occasion. But yeah, that first boss was really such bullshit because it's not telegraphed it's not very convenient, telegraphed very well that, you're supposed to just sit there and let him lift you off the ground. Because it's like, it's a platform game, it's a Sonic game. What's your first instinct at a boss? You jump at it. So that's where I really went off the handle. Well,
especially since you're one of the few people that actually does like 06, and at that point, if you were letting him pick you up, then you would be like, oh crap, Silver Loop, can't let this happen.
What? I don't like 06. What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm just saying, like, you played 06, and therefore you would have known the silver mechanics. And so at that point, oh no, he's lifting you? Yeah, you don't want that to happen. You're going to get caught in the loop. It's not going to work out well for you. Yeah. The other thing I want to at least say to Force's defense, my review is not done for it yet, so I want to at least just toss this out. I could have told you guys, like, right off the bat, this game was not going to have too much story. At the very least, it was going to be gutted because of the creative character aspect. And I'm not even kidding with that, because at that point, you have to make things so open-ended in a story to account for people's OCs that it wouldn't have worked anyway, at least as far as I am concerned. I like the fact that they decided to integrate them well as a leader of the resistance, but I even looked at that and went, yeah, you don't have much of a story if you're introducing OCs to this game. You're basically gonna add the MMO hype of being able to create your own original characters. There's not much to this game. So I'm just going to say that in that defense, that we should have seen that coming.
Fair enough.
But, okay, so we have Mass Effect Andromeda, we have ARMS, we have Sonic Forces. Stephen Romney, what are you going to add to this equation of crap?
Honestly, I don't really have anything I can add because, like I mentioned, I didn't play that many games this year, so there aren't really any new releases or really any games that this year that I generally didn't like or that made me put down the controller, so I got nothing.
So at that point, Battlefront 2. You're the one that got the Battlefront 2. Now nobody can complain. Loophole.
Okay.
That's how I roll.
Romney's just like, cool. That's fine.
Yeah, I would say overall, like, 2017 was a good year for gaming. There actually was a lot more good than bad that came out this year. But the only problem with it, and maybe you guys agree or disagree, it was just that the stuff that came out pissed you off. It literally not only had, like, developmental problems or, the usual stuff that we're used to covering by now, but then they had that tacked on other reason to be pissed off, like the microtransactions for Battlefront 2, or the fact that it was very clear in Andromeda that EA was breathing down BioWare's throat. You had that added reason to be extra pissed at it. So that's at least my assessment of the gaming year of 2017 is, like, what was good, but the bad ones, there's a reason that they're bad and they just pissed you off. Now, as an added thing for the games, we do need to get into this before we go into films. We're not even a full year into its life cycle yet, but we've had a majority of the year. And I know enough of our listeners have asked for our opinion on the Switch. Can we consider, so now that the fiscal year, I think for the most part, is done, where do we rate the Switch? Is it a success? Is it a failure? Did it do the things right that we wanted it to do, or did it fail again? And for me, the answer is fairly simple. All you have to do is look at the numbers. It's the fastest growing, or it's the fastest selling US console right now. I think Nintendo's overly ambitious to make the claim they want to sell 20 million Switches by the end of the year. I think that's a little ambitious, considering that the first year was when a lot of the early adopters would get it. But hey, good on you. If you want to aim for that, then that's cool. But I got to call it a success. Not only did you have really good first-party launch titles like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario was worth the wait. Despite Brenton's hatred of ARMS, I know a few people that loved ARMS and loved the Mario Kart re-release that came out for it. Loved Splatoon 2. Were kind of like me and wishing that Samus Returns had come out for the Switch instead of the 3DS. And on top of that, Mario Odyssey, what was the other holiday release that we got?
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I'm technically calling like a second party, because I know that it's Nintendo exclusive, and I know that Monolith Soft has gotten some help from Nintendo, but I'm not necessarily calling it first party just yet, because it's Monolith Soft.
Yeah,
but I'll call it second party for you guys. But the other thing that I will say is that people might remember I had the big list of third-party developers that I was watching to see if they actually did stuff. And I did watch this year. And I'm not saying that every single game came out. A lot of those companies still haven't released anything yet, and I've actually had to knock a few off the list. In particular, EA's statements that they will not do anything for the Switch because they don't like working on the dev kit for some stupid-ass reason. But a lot of third parties delivered fairly well. I mean, Skyrim for the Switch, I'm hearing, is getting a lot of praise. So is Doom for the Switch. So Bethesda's been able to pull it out and come out with something really, really good there. We've seen a lot of third-party developers and indie developers be able to provide awesome products for the Switch just to add to the hype of it. So yeah, for me personally, I will call the Switch's launch a success. Is it the booming success that Nintendo needed? I think that's still up in the air. I like the fact that they're breaking records, but I want to wait till the second year to see if they can keep that momentum, because the Wii U did fairly well in its launch, and then it kind of petered out. Maybe surging back with Smash Brothers. Stephen Romney, where are you standing with the Switch's launch? Do you think it was a success or a failure in the long run?
Well, it seems to be a success, given that it seems to be going strong and being shown much more support than the Wii U was. Yeah. And that's most that I can say based on the trends I've been seeing, since I still have yet to buy the Switch. Again, disgruntled Wii U owner here. So financially, like looking at what's been going on, I would say it is a success, but a very modest success. It's not making gangbusters like the Wii did, but at the very least, it seems to be putting Nintendo in the black.
Okay, all right. Is it more of a success than you actually expected it to be, Romney, or?
Not really, just given how safe that Nintendo more or less was playing it. They weren't trying to take nearly as many risks because, again, you had the passing of Satoru Iwata. It was very much a regime change. There was so much on the line for the Switch that it was very much a case of, okay, let's play it as safely as we can and not screw this up.
Yeah, and for those who are probably going to ask us, like, you know, you kind of pointed it out very obviously. This was also under a regime change. Can we judge the regime change yet? Not really. The console we can based on numbers, but a regime change especially in companies like Nintendo, you got to wait a couple of years to see how that's actually going to pan out. Because just because you had a successful year with the Switch, which was already in development, it doesn't necessarily speak towards what you're actually doing for the company, if that makes sense. So we'll need to watch like the next year and see what their releases have in store and what actually is going to be happening for an accurate assessment of the new president of Nintendo. Alex, where are you standing with the Switch? Is it a success or a failure? Because you're kind of the other disgruntled Wii U owner.
Yes, I think the Switch is a real success. I was considering again, I was really skeptical of the fact that they were launching it in March, which is very outside like any kind of prime buying for a lot of people. I'm really surprised how well it's been doing and how well it's been trending. And the fact that they've already making it the fastest growing console selling in America, I think is a good sign for things to come. There is still, of course, the chance it could peter out, but I'm still feeling optimistic about its future.
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Didn't a lot of us kind of predict that either before the announcement of its release or after that we thought it was going to get moved back to the holidays, which would make more sense?
I personally don't recall having that conversation. Maybe Alex or Romney does.
Maybe we did before the announcement, because I do know that a lot of us expected like holiday 2017 was going to be the announcement for it.
Yeah, I think it was something to that extent, especially with the way the Switch was being released. Because I know that was something we did discuss, was the fact they were releasing it in March instead of with the holiday season.
Yeah.
And more or less trying to understand the method in the madness.
Not only that, but like changing up the release lineup, actually releasing a Zelda coupled with it, and instead of Mario, which, I mean, you could say the Twilight Princess was done the exact same way with the Wii, but to my knowledge, it wasn't as successful as Nintendo had wanted, and therefore kind of wish they coupled Mario with it, because I know that the Wii U was coupled with Mario to kind of make up for that. Brinton,
yes,
where are you standing with the space shuttle formerly known as the Switch?
You mean the Nintendo shuttle?
The Nin Shuttle?
Yes.
The Nin Shuttle?
Because that hashtag will always be a thing forever in mine and Alex's hearts. And
you guys will never let it die.
In fact, I'm going to type it into the live chat as we speak, and answer your question.
And in fact, I want another hashtag saved forever, and that is No Pants Warrior from the chat. I want that saved forever.
Oh, it came to me in a beautiful epiphany. But yes, thank you, Alex. Anyway, I think the Switch is a complete and total success. Something that Nintendo absolutely needed coming from the Wii U. Of course, again, and I'll say this anytime we bring up the Wii U, I like it, but I do recognize that it does have flaws. So yeah. I'm not blinded, but I still do like it.
No, I agree with you on that. I literally look at the Wii U as just making up for the fact that people didn't like the motion controls from the Wii. And on top of that, adding horrible advertising campaigns to that thing. I mean, to this day, I still come across relatives who are like, oh, you mean that controller attachment? Like they still don't get that the Wii U was a separate console in and of itself. They thought it was just an attachment because of how poorly that was advertised.
And Nintendo did admit that they were over ambitious with the Wii U when they were presenting the Switch back in almost a year ago now. Again, they said it. They're like, we were a little ambitious. We didn't quite know what we were doing, so we were able to properly sit down and we figured it out. And here you go. Here's the Switch. Yeah. And let me tell you, being able to, like, the moment it hit me how incredible the Switch was that week. The week Nathan and I were playing Breath of the Wild back to back together, and he was playing on the TV. I was playing in handheld mode, and he was like, "Oh, I need to go to the bathroom," and I just expected him to pause the game and go use the restroom. And all of a sudden, I didn't, like, for a couple minutes, I didn't hear music because I was like focused on what I was doing, and the game is off the television, and I was like, "Holy crap! He's playing a game." He's playing a console game while going to the bathroom. Like I don't know why this was like, holy crap, this is amazing, but it was. and I'm pretty sure Nathan's listening to like every single word I'm saying right now because this is the second time I've talked about him.
Don't tell him that.
But that's when it like hit me. Holy crap! This is the Switch.
Yes,
this is what you're capable of doing. Do I recommend you playing video games while you're on the toilet? Probably not, because that's gross.
Why not? People do it with their phones.
I was actually gonna say, like, My DS made it to the bathroom a couple of times.
And I'm
Not my
still saying-
3DS, but
And I'm still saying it's gross. Like, don't get me wrong. I've done it too. I will admit I have played the Switch while on the toilet, and I'm not saying that it's sanitary, but I mean that is what Nintendo was trying to finally do, and they did it. And it made me proud to say that I am a Nintendo fan. That was 2017 for me.
yeah. And here's another thing I'm just going to throw out there. To the Wii U's credit, I would actually say that a lot of the Switch audience that bought into the hype that didn't necessarily know what was coming, I think were also Wii U owners that loved the potential that the gamepad provided. I'll admit I was one of those guys that, like, our Wii U was dedicated in our bedroom, and then if I just couldn't sleep in the middle of the night, I would be putting on some, either Shovel Knight or some kind of virtual console game on the gamepad and just play that way so that I don't wake up my wife, because I have to turn the TV on. And the Switch just added to that. It really added to that momentum. And then at that point, which is funny because I remember very clearly saying that it was very confusing to me that you said that this was a 3DS and a Wii U successor. And now it makes perfect sense. And it's the way they should have gone the entire time. And now I'm actually looking at the Switch and going, why didn't Sony do this? And why hasn't Microsoft done this? Because this would get me motivated in so many more games if I could just be able to play this way. And the other thing too, I will also say is, like, originally I think I gave you a little bit of crap, didn't I, Brinton? Because you guys were getting like 3 Switches that weekend.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, one for me, one for Nathan, one for my brother-in-law.
Yeah. And I think I gave you a little bit of crap on
to play Mario Kart separately, and there was no way we could play Splatoon 2 on one console because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, I gave you a little bit of crap for it. And now I'm actually considering doing it myself. I'm considering getting one for my wife. In fact, my older brother, he just doesn't console game anymore. Like, all the stuff he's interested in, he's strictly on PC. They got a Switch this year, and his main complaint at Christmas was, I never get access to the Switch. The kids hog it. And his Christmas present this year was a Switch for himself.
Oh my gosh.
With Xenoblade 2, which, by the way, first Xeno game he's ever played. Do you realize how much I crapped my pants on that one?
That's exciting for him, though. It really is.
For me too.
Like, again, like, that's the Switch. I understand that it's a console, but at the same time, like, it's a console DS hybrid, and it makes sense for somebody to own their own personal Switch. It's hard for me to think of it as a console just because of how portable it is.
Yeah, entirely true. So that's pretty much our viewpoint on the Switch's launch. It's not technically a full year. I'm going to count it a full year when it actually goes full circle in March, and we'll see where it's standing. I'm also looking forward to, like, we got a lot of hype in 2017. We got because with Nintendo consoles, you're going to get the default Mario, Zelda releases, and occasionally you'll get like a Metroid or something like that on the console. The second year is when you really also need to look at Nintendo consoles, because then at that point we actually need to see, okay, how are they going to keep this thing alive, kind of thing. Now that you have the hype machine all done and people have played Breath of the Wild as long as they're going to play it, now let's see how this console actually survives. And so that's really going to be the assessment there. Moving on into the next discussion that we have, which is the best films of 2017. So again, I'm going to take the top 3 out. You get 1 and a runner-up. Which I know is for some of us is going to be hard, but I'm going to keep us to this rule. Your best film of 2017 and then a runner-up. For me, this is going to sound so mean to people, and in fact, I'm pretty sure this list will change because me and Alex, I know for a fact, are doing our top movies of 2017 in the next little bit. But my number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is like the legit movie this year that I've had the most fun watching. And I've actually had fun going back to it every now and then. I still want a t-shirt of I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. I want one just because Yondu Udanta is awesome. And my runner-up, and some people are going to be happy about this, some people aren't. Star Wars The Last Jedi, even though that there are problems to it, there's a lot of really good stuff to it. And I actually did come out uplifted, a little confused, but I came out uplifted and wanting a little bit more in the Star Wars universe after that. So my second is going to be Star Wars The Last Jedi and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because man, that Blu-ray is getting worked ever since that thing came out on Blu-ray, man. It's just enjoyable from start to finish. So let's go ahead and reverse this order just a little bit. Stephen Romney, your best film of 2017 and its runner-up.
All right. Well, I'm probably going to be the outlier here because to get this out of the way, The Last Jedi is neither my favorite film of 2017 nor the runner-up. So people who were expecting that, I'm probably the one outlier who didn't even put that into consideration. And that's not because I disliked the film. It's just the films that I saw I felt were better. So, like, hands down, and I actually thought about this for a good couple of days, but hands down, the film that I felt was the best constructed, that I enjoyed, that basically I enjoyed as a film that I felt was the best, would have to be War for the Planet of the Apes. Of all of the reboots we've had, that trilogy has probably been the smartest and the best handling of a sci-fi franchise I've ever seen. And War for the Planet of the Apes brought the story full circle as we then see kind of what laid the foundation for the Planet of the Apes that we see in the original film.
Yeah.
And it does it in a way that's not condescending. It takes pieces from the past films, but it doesn't call too much attention to it. It tells its own story, especially if you saw Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and understood kind of what happened. I guess the reason why I like it is that compared to other sci-fi films or films that claim to be sci-fi, it actually is legitimately smart. It's not pretending to be smart. It is genuinely smart, but it doesn't lord it over the audience either. It's a case of, oh no, here's how this concept is fascinating. And so it is probably the most layered, most fascinating of the films I saw this year. As for the runner-up, it was a bit of a tough call, but for the runner-up, I'm going to have to give it to The Shape of Water, because The Shape of Water is probably one of the few times where a film manages to balance both the romance and the horror without favoring one side or the other. Because yes, it is a horror film that happens to have a strong romantic subplot, or alternately, yes, it's a romance film, but it still remembers that it is also a horror film. It still retains that element of danger, that element of, hey, we're dealing with things that, if this actually happened in real life, would probably get someone killed. Yeah. And it even uses that to great comedic effect. And it's kind of got this self-awareness that's not self-aware in the sense that it's looking down on the concept or looking down at the audience. It's more a case of, yeah, we know this is ridiculous. We don't care. We like this idea. It has that passion to it. And that's something I just don't see in a lot of films anymore. Even The Last Jedi is that sense of passion. We're starting to kind of lose that. And so that's why The Shape of Water is my runner-up. So to reiterate, best film of 2017, in my opinion, War for the Planet of the Apes. Runner-up, The Shape of Water.
See, and I was kind of wondering if maybe another movie would have made our list, because I feel bad. Again, I'm keeping things to top two, but if I had a top three, Power Rangers would make it, because I still love what that movie did.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was between Shape of Water and Power Rangers for the runner-up. It's just Shape of Water managed to win out by that much a little bit, because as I've watched the Dean Israelite film again, yeah, it does have some problems. But it's still an enjoyable film. I just felt The Shape of Water, again, a little bit better constructed. But again, Power Rangers does deserve an honorable mention because it, again, respects the source material, but isn't afraid to do its own unique twist on it.
All right. Alex, your best films for 2017. I already know one of them. It has to make its way in there. I know it does.
Yeah. If this was going to be a bit more of a list, I would have inverted it just to be different. But yeah, for me, the best film, and I have it here on Blu-ray, it is still Your Name. It is the movie that I really, really loved. It's similar to how you described walking out of Last Jedi. I walked out of Your Name feeling uplifted, feeling just the pure enjoyment from the movie. I'd been looking forward to it for months, and it blew me out of the water. Really loved it. I know it's kind of an obvious choice because I'm an anime channel, an anime guy, but but I really legitimately love this movie. If there had been a live action movie I enjoyed more this year, I'm sure I would have put that on the top of the list. And, well,
No, you wouldn't
again,
have. You
speaking
would
of,
have put an anime movie there.
if there was a good anime movie this year,
Yeah.
which, well, yes, there was, but
Yes.
it could have been a nothing year and there wouldn't be an anime movie. But anyway, for the runner-up, also, this is going to be another top list dominated by anime because it's, again, Blu-ray here. It is A Silent Voice, and this is another movie I've been looking forward to for quite a while, and this is a great movie. It's too hard to pick between these two. It's a toss-up. Some love this one a little more, and some love Your Name. It's a toss-up for me. That's why I was going to invert it, but never mind anyway. But anyway, so A Silent Voice, it's a terrific movie. It's about finding redemption, finding yourself, finding romance, and finding forgiveness in the past, and looking forward to the future. It's a terrific character-driven film. Loved this movie. Really highly recommend it. I had to import this from Great Britain. Unfortunately, it's not here in the United States, but it's a terrific movie, and I highly suggest it for anybody who wants just a really good character film.
All right. So that's kind of our left hook, is like you brought in Your Name and A Silent Voice. Probably not the most mainstream of films. Brinton, what is your best film of 2017? And its runner-up.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Never thought with some of the DC films that came before, I did not think I was going to say, oh, a DC film was the best film of 2017 for me. But Wonder Woman did that, and it gave me a newfound love for Gal Gadot and just Wonder Woman as a character.
It just made me eat crow for Gal Gadot. I was wrong. I was wrong.
Oh my gosh, that movie was amazing. Like the part of the movie where I knew that this was going to be my favorite film was when they were in the and I forget the term, is when the trenches. They're in the trenches, and they're like, that's like no man's territory. Like, you can't go in there. You're gonna die. And she was just like, and pretty much she's like,
screw you, I'm Captain America.
Exactly. She was just like, sure. Hold my purse. And then she just goes and just completely obliterates everyone. And the entire time I just sat there and I was just covered in goosebumps. And I was like, holy shit.
I actually liked, for a while there, she was a solid, I want to say for a month, the occasional hold my beer memes, where it's just like, no, you're not supposed to go out there. It's no man's land. Hold my beer. And then it's her doing her stride out on into the battlefield. Yeah. That was worth it.
That was the best moment of that movie. And as you all may know, I am a little, like, I do have some feminism in me. And for me, it was like, okay, we're for a while now. And I mean, up to that point, and I don't mean to get like super political or anything, but there's been a huge issue with like women's rights in America. And in that moment, it was, again, hold my beer. Like, she literally, she was like,
but doing it the right way.
But doing it the right way. I mean, obviously she did it respectfully, but I mean, me being sassy, of course, in my mind, it very much was, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm here for a reason. You're bringing me here for a reason. And now you're telling me not to do it. So here's my purse, and I'll meet you on the other side of the field.
pretty much. Yeah. And I agree with you on this. So this is your number one. What is the runner up then?
I've been like stewing over my runner up because I really enjoyed the two Lego movies that they came out with this year, the Lego Batman and the Lego Ninjago. And honestly, I'm going to have to put both of them as my runner ups because I can't like decide which are the either. There's something
it's funny because like so earlier this year we went and saw Lego Batman and we loved it, but we both kind of looked at Ninjago. I think of that beginning trailer, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. We looked at Ninjago and we went, ugh. Like, we didn't want to do it. And then as the trailers continued to play, it like warmed itself up to us. And then I needed to go take a vacation, and we actually never got around to seeing it.
Yeah, sadly.
Oh my! It was. I mean, like, the two Lego movies that preceded it. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just one thing Warner Brothers is doing really, really good right now. That and the Fantastic Beasts films. But I mean, there's just a level of sass and spunk in the Lego movies, and it just carried itself very well throughout Lego Ninjago. And I was just sitting there, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is so funny! I'm loving every single second of this." It was good, and of course, I'm a huge fan of Batman, and the way that they've portrayed Lego Batman specifically is just hilarious to me.
But are you a fan of Lego Lobster Thermidor?
Yes.
All right, there you go. You heard it here first, everybody.
Well, I mean, come on. He's like, let me just microwave this lobster, and then I just start, chewing it
amongst my
shell and
bat
all.
vehicles. Yes,
Exactly.
I love
It's
that
so
moment.
random.
It's the best moment in the damn movie for me.
Especially at the end where he's like, oh, I'm just going to shove 4 lobsters into the microwave, and we're just all going to eat as a big, happy family. And you're just like, oh, my Lanta, that doesn't...
But that's what Bruce would know to do.
That's why it's awesome. So
Yep.
Wonder Woman and Lego Batman, Lego Ninjago.
All right, and so the best has now been calculated. Now it's time to dig into the crap once again. Worst movie of 2017. Same rule. You can only have one. For me, this is going to get me in trouble with the anime community, and I would ask very plainly.
Oh.
Don't please understand my viewpoint on this matter. Ghost of the Shell. And it's not because I think that ScarJo delivered a horrible performance or anything like that. It's the only movie that caused me pain this year. That made me almost get up and leave the theater. It hurt to watch it, not because I have my complaints with it, and actually, it's one of those things where I got frustrated with myself this year that I got so backed up on the RSS feed, because I wish a lot of people actually had heard the interactions between me and Aldo on Ghost in the Shell, because there actually are some good points brought up by both him and me during it. But for me, like the thing that stuck out to me even now is like I don't have this thing on Blu-ray, and the simple reason I don't is it still has those painful scenes of causing major headaches and all that. So for me, Ghost of the Shell has to be my worst film of 2017. I would like to say, for the record, though, there hasn't really been a dookie bomb of 2017 like there was for 2016, because this one wasn't an easy choice. Last year, it was easy. It was the movie that didn't make us laugh. Because I think that was both of ours, wasn't it, Alex? Hail Caesar.
Yeah,
we were both pissed at that because it was a comedy that didn't make you laugh.
Yeah.
But this one, hard to pick a worst, because even the worst is still got some redeeming factors to it. But for me, it's the movie that caused me pain, lots and lots of pain. So for that, let's go ahead and switch things up. Brinton, your worst movie of 2017.
I actually was going to say that I did not have one, but then Awesome, I'm probably going to say his name wrong, Gabriel,
yeah.
Scott. He said mine was definitely the Death Note live action. Oh my gosh. I
didn't even watch it. I knew maybe I was a little curious into the Willem Dafoe Ryuk, but like I literally looked at some of the stuff. I think I may have seen one trailer and just said, nah, I could pass on this one.
Yeah, good on you. It was No,
at the back of the throat. There you go. All right, so
yeah, that's
Death
it.
Note live action. All right, we'll count that one. Alex, your worst film of 2017.
It still remains Alien Covenant, because
I kind of figured this was coming.
Ghost of the Shell was just kind of boring to me, or just mediocre and flat. But Alien Covenant was just annoying. Again, it mostly ties back to how it keeps trying to become another Prometheus movie, and Prometheus was not a good movie to begin with. Also, that added to that fact, Ridley Scott seems to have forgotten that Alien is basically a slasher movie in space. It's not a needlessly complicated sci-fi soap opera. So, and granted, Alien Covenant kind of plays out like a bit of a slasher because, you know, you get the typical, the couple having sex gets killed by the murderer, but still, he also had to try and make it overly complicated for a slasher.
Yeah. After hearing like all the stuff you had to say about Alien Covenant, I just like, it kind of made me dread the person that made the recommendation for 100 subs that we need to go through the Alien series. Cause I'm like, well, that's not cool because I know that I'm going to be walking into awesomeness and then literally wanting to smash the screen near the end because nobody has good things to say about Prometheus and nobody certainly has anything good to say about Alien Covenant. So yeah, I'm not surprised by this one. Stephen Romney, your worst film of 2017. I guess the first question I should ask is, was there such a thing as a Lucy this year? Because man, your hatred of Lucy, like there are no words for that. So is there one that actually made you want to tear your hair out?
Well, I guess the thing to keep in mind is that I've got a better handle on my anger. But if there was a film that I would consider the absolute worst, mishandling, botched excuse of a franchise reboot ever to grace the silver screen, it would have to be The Mummy. I mean, my God, how do you screw up a franchise that you used to dominate Universal? I mean, how? Just how? The answer? We're going to copy Marvel, except not really, because we think DC has the right idea of how to build a cinematic universe, so we're going to copy that instead.
I will say this to not to the Mummy's defense, but this is something I never thought I'd say because, you know, we've had awesome movies, but then, you know, when we get to the video game stigma of the adaptations being absolute crap, this was the first time where we actually could say the movie was absolute crap, but the game was pretty awesome.
And that's probably because of a fortunate thing where Tom Cruise doesn't allow his likeness to be featured in video games. And honestly, I think that's what allowed the game to actually be decent because it's complex how awful The Mummy is because it tries to be a horror film, but then tries to be an action-adventure film like the Stephen Sommer Mummy films. Then it also tries to be a comedy.
Yeah.
It basically tries to have everything in it at once.
It fails.
It fails. I mean, it's like Phantom. It's like worse than the Phantom Menace in terms of how it tries to have everything in one film, because it just the tone is all over the place. The ideas are bungled, and it tries to frame the monsters as superheroes and create their own version of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Prodigium. It tries to rush to its cinematic universe instead of building up slowly. Because like the way you would build up something like the Dark Universe is that you would go kind of the Indiana Jones route, where you have the monster appear, the monster is defeated, then you see a mysterious government agency lock up the stuff in a mysterious warehouse, and you don't tell the audience who that organization is until maybe a few films in. Honestly, the setup in Dracula Untold gave a much better starting point than we got with The Mummy, because the kids of, oh yeah, this regular Joe Schmo, and I don't care about spoilers. Honestly, this film is not even worth seeing blindly. It's like, oh yeah, it's Tom Cruise. Well, we can't have him just be a regular Joe Schmo. Let's have him be the Egyptian god Set at the end of the film, because that makes a whole lot of sense.
I actually just had an interesting, so a buddy of mine just wanted to ask you this question, and I think this is appropriate now. If you were on a desert island and you had to subject yourself to pain, Romney, Dracula Untold or The Mummy, which would you subject yourself to?
Honestly, I'd take Dracula Untold over The Mummy, because Dracula Untold, I went in expecting it to be silly, because I just saw it as basically an unofficial adaptation of Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I mean, literally, if you switched out Caligula with Zobek and you switched out Dracula with Gabriel Belmont, it's the same movie. Like, beat for beat, it is the same story, just without the whole subplot of fighting the devil, which honestly, if that was what the Dark Universe was leading to, I would watch that. And literally, Dracula Untold, their post-credits teaser scene sets it up much better, where it literally shows Dracula and Caligula in modern day. that is a good basis to set a dark cinematic universe, because then you have it where, okay, you have some monsters that Caligula unearths to basically taunt Dracula, and then you have Dracula getting other monsters to help fight this proxy war between these two forces of evil. That is how you can set up a monstrous cinematic universe, not trying to rush to create your own version of the goddamn Avengers. I mean, we tried a superhero team based on literary characters. Guess what? It didn't work for the film adaptation. It worked somewhat better in the comics.
Some actually would say it wrecked a very esteemed actor's career.
Yep. So basically, we've seen it done before. It was done much better in the comics. Fox couldn't make it work. It made Sean Connery retire. And so honestly, and it bugs me because I'm just like, people, Mr. Hyde is not the Hulk. Stop trying to turn Mr. Hyde into the Hulk, because that is not Mr. Hyde at all.
Yeah.
And so, before I get red in the face and pull out the pillow again, it's complex in the awfulness, but hands down, worst movie of 2017 goes to The Mummy.
And for the one person that's actually asking, there was no game adaptation. Yes, there was. So go and look up The Mummy Demastered. It's actually made from, what's her name? Way Forward. The same people who made DuckTales Remastered, the Shantae series, and they actually did a really compelling Metroidvania style game in that movie universe. So, I would agree with you. One of the things that holds that a lot better is the fact that you're not playing as the main character, because Tom Cruise will not let you have his likeness in a game.
Yeah, it's like a very strict part of his contract that he's had in place. So, and that's honestly for the benefit, because Tom Cruise's character just raises more questions than answers. I mean, honestly, the joke I made in the review, I'm just like, oh, so they basically wanted to put in Nathan Drake in this cinematic universe as well, but didn't want to pay Sony the money to bring in Nathan Drake.
Yep, and I think actually somebody was asking, since me and Alex's other channel, Dragon Shadow, just barely hit 100 subscribers, they were actually asking if they could put in modern entries like The Mummy Demastered, and I said go for it. I don't know if they've officially put it in or not, but yeah, you could definitely put in The Mummy Demastered. We'll definitely look into it.
Play the game, skip the movie. This is literally the reversal, where the game is actually like leagues and leagues and leagues better than the movie. And honestly, I can see why every producer that was attached to the Dark Universe has now jumped ship, because even they realize, this is a turkey. We're going to get out of here.
Pretty much. So that's pretty much the best and worst films of 2017. Now we actually have some podcast specific questions that we're going to get into, and we're already talking about the worst, and I think it's just a good idea to get this out there. What is the worst story that we've had to cover this year on the podcast, or the worst story that you've had to follow this year on the podcast? And this is where it gets hard, guys, because 2017 has been such a depressing year for the podcast. I don't mean to cover the nasty stuff, but that's all we had. Like, we had a couple of really good moments. E3 was pretty good. We had a couple of other announcements that were awesome. We had the Switch early on, and then the crap train just came a-rolling in. And I would actually dare say that, just like with the Adpocalypse, it all started with PewDiePie. Because literally, like, somebody actually pointed out to me, like, you didn't have that many bad stories to cover on the podcast until you covered that one. So his argument is we literally jinxed ourselves by covering PewDiePie, and therefore we got subjected to the crap train that came. But for me, the worst story that I've had to cover, and this is cheating, and I don't care, everything that has happened with YouTube this year. Every time, like, I'm not saying YouTube is always a, bright and shiny rainbow to cover, but every time YouTube was mentioned this year, I didn't even care about what was being mentioned. I just went YouTube and went, because we got wonderful little gems like PewDiePie, Alex Thomas Maurer, We got other wonderful gems like the whole demonetization crap that we had to endure all year. We got the unfortunate events that happened at both VidCon and CoxCon. We got the unfortunate events that happened later on in the year with YouTube Kids. Do you see my pattern, everyone? When this word got mentioned in my feed, I literally had to bang my head on the desk. This was my war this year. And it will begin again next week, unfortunately. So I'll go ahead and open this up to the panel. What was the worst story that we covered this year you wish we never had? And I'm going to mix things up a little bit. Alex, what was the worst story for you this year?
For me, I think it had to be a lot of the sexual harassment stories that ended up following in the wake of the Weinstein coverage. I'm not trying to say it's not important, right? Because it certainly is. People who unfortunately are getting abused and harassed in their workplace. And that's terrible. That's awful. So sorry about the dog. She's whining, but if you can hear that. So that just, it grew to be like, oh my goodness, every week, another person. And it's like, if you ever just want all your faith in humanity.
It wasn't even just that. It wasn't just one person. Like, we went from one person to two people, then all the way up to 10, and it just got worse.
I mean, it's just like every week, it's like somebody else was being accused of misconduct. And I'm just like, if you ever want to, lose all complete trust and faith in humanity in general, as well as all entertainment industry, and just hate everybody who ever set foot in Hollywood ever, and on the internet too, because it's not just in Hollywood. And it's just the Me Too scandals were just awful.
Yeah. And as we can all tell, Alex's dog is very much against sexual harassment.
Yeah.
That's a thing. And you know what? I'm happy that his dog is against sexual harassment. It's a bad thing. All right, Brinton, what was your worst story of 2017? Now, you weren't here for a lot of podcasts because you were still busy with, things like life and college and all that stuff. But what was the worst thing this year that you just cringed? Either it came up consistently or it just came up that one time.
I would have to say all the PewDiePie shenanigans for me, honestly. And I think the one that pushed me over the edge was when he used the N-word on his live stream while playing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
Yep.
And I'm still just at a loss for words. I remember Nathan and I were listening to another podcast reaction to it. They had they said their podcast meets earlier in the week, and so I was so they were able to cover it before we all had a chance to cover it.
Yeah.
But I just remember it was a podcast full of it was all Black people, not trying to be racist. That was just
that's definitely the audience he was catering to.
So I mean it was a bunch pretty much the point I'm trying to make is there is this one guy who was a guest, and he was talking about how, and he too was also Black, and he was making it a point that it really wasn't that bad. And these other two dudes were just like, are you kidding me? And much like what you do, Adam, where you mentioned, somebody who's listening just tweeted me this. Well, somebody who was listening to them tweeted something in, and he was like, hey, I have to interrupt you for a second because I just had a listener say it's really, really sad to see how there are some Black people who are just completely okay with open racism and aren't willing to stand up for what is right and wrong. And both Nathan and I in that moment just started to applaud. And I was just like, this is disgusting.
What made that even worse, at least from my perspective, is guys, I don't like PewDiePie. I am not a subscriber. I've not liked any content that he's promoted. The most that I've actually liked, and I can say I liked, was his apology after the first Adpocalypse shenanigans. Okay, that I'm not a guy that likes this dude, and I had to defend him twice this year. Not once, twice. Because again, this is another unfortunate incident that happened within a 20-minute video. So it's again 10 seconds that he's being judged on. But PewDiePie's an idiot. Like, I have no problem admitting that PewDiePie is a freaking idiot. And I played devil's advocate, and some people actually did applaud us for doing that. I appreciate that we at least said the problem here is that you're judging based off of one incident kind of thing, and you should be judging off of a track record. But then the whole N-word thing happened, and now we had a track record. And his track record got worse this year too. So at that point, I completely acknowledge, but it was one of those things where I would not take back how I chose to cover this on the podcast and how we covered it. But man, the backlash I could have lived without. It was like, how can you defend this guy when he's literally hurting all these other people? I'm not defending him. I'm saying he's an idiot. But at the same time, to judge a video based off of 10 seconds is not worthwhile.
It was just his entire shenanigans for me was just, it just shocked me because as we all know, the internet gets, when people rally together behind something, it gets super intense. And I think it's very, very clear that there is a lot of controversial political chaos in the United States of America right now, where everybody, like, I think it's not even everybody's getting offended over everything. It's this realization that this country where people may have believed, oh, wow, racism is starting to go away. Women are being treated correctly. The gays are getting their rights. And I'm not going to get political. Sorry, I was about to do that.
Yeah, I was about to pull you back for a second there.
Thanks. But a certain someone became the president of our country, and it made us all realize, oh, wow, it is still extremely present. And
Annoying Orange became our president. Trust me, there's not really much difference with what I just said.
And so I'm sorry, but I understand that he's not American. I understand he lives in a country with their own problems and their own culture and their own way of viewing things. But when your audience is primarily American and you say things like that, like, I just don't understand why he thought that was completely okay.
Mm. See, we don't necessarily breach the political barrier that often, and I'm very proud that we've done that because there have been a couple of times where these guys have had to pull me aside, and because I did want to actually get into those situations, and I'm very glad that these guys are here to be able to help me keep to the rules that I put in place. Doesn't mean that I don't do it individually, but this is again a safe place where we don't necessarily do that. But this year was not easy in this regard. It was so hard to pick stories that weren't in some form politically charged. I didn't even believe this when it happened, but I actually got backlash from a friend over the Pikachu jumping the White House fence incident. I didn't think I'd get something for that, but I did. And I was like, dude, that's hilarious. Of course he's not going to make it to the White House. The Secret Service are going to jump him in like 5 seconds as soon as he hits the grass. But that's how bad this year has been, is like even the silly stories, they're charged. And there were a couple of times where I actually, and I have no problem admitting this, I'm like, how can I do a podcast this week? How can I do it? Because everything that we're going to talk about is going to have some kind of political charge to it. And I can't fulfill this. But I've actually been very happy this year with how well it's gone. And I'm also thankful for our audience because we could have easily had those kinds of reactions, and even our audience kind of looked at us and went, I still appreciated how you guys covered it. You guys still tried to stay as non-biased as you could. So I'm very happy about that. We have one left. Romney, what is the worst story that we had to cover on the podcast, or just stuff that you saw in your everyday life in 2017? What was the worst of it?
Okay, well, this will be kind of tough, mainly just because of how bad a lot of the stories were. I just kind of became numb to it. Because like you mentioned, we tried to keep it non-biased, and I kind of almost deliberately tried to act as the voice of reason, trying to kind of to keep people from jumping straight to the I'm a tear your throat out mode, because that's the thing that got exhausting at the start of the year. and just throughout the year in general, the sense of tribalism everyone kind of tried to kind of devolve into. But to keep it on point of what we've covered specifically, I wouldn't call it the worst, but I would just call it the most annoying, and that would be, well, Alex Mauer and the whole debacle, and just basically what we had to cover during all of that madness. And it's just very much one of those cases where at first it was like, okay, does this mean it's going to set a precedent? And it very much just went from being something fascinating to just being something that you just watch because you're just, I wouldn't say it's like wreck. Yeah. I wouldn't go that far. It wasn't even to be like, oh, you're just curious to see how bad. It's just more, you're basically, I guess the best comparison, it's like the English Patient. You keep watching and watching, and it's just coming to a very disappointing conclusion.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, like we're not even done because we didn't even cover the no-show. Like me and Alex covered it, but she no-showed her court date. So at that point, I mean, that we know that this case isn't done, people, and I'm probably not even going to cover all of the minute details. We will cover it when it's resolved.
True, but even as Leonard French himself put it after, because he posted a video almost immediately after the hearing where Mauer was a no-show, and the judge basically explained that he's going to hand down an order that is basically a restraining order preventing Mauer from contacting the judge directly and basically limiting her contact strictly through documents that are filed with the clerk of court, and that would be the only method of contact. But the way Leonard French put it, it's pretty much over so long as Mauer simply abides by the settlement.
Yeah.
And given that she tried going by Alex Kobayashi, and even then some people are thinking, is she going the full weeaboo route, or is she trying to make a pointless Star Trek reference? Which, it's hard to say. It's kind of gotten to the point where, yeah, at first it was fascinating, but it's kind of like a TV show that's gone on for way too long. You know, none of the actors enjoy it. They're just doing it for a paycheck. You just want it to end.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much how this whole situation came into it. We actually came into the Mauer situation late because we came in, I think it was going maybe 2 months already by the time we actually covered it on the podcast. And that was just simply because we weren't aware of it until you guys as the listeners brought it to our attention. And at that point, you got our honest opinions.
Yeah, and it was especially because I think what finally got our attention was the fact that the lawsuit was filed, and therefore it was actually something that could lead somewhere, especially given that we've established that there still has yet to be any sort of precedent regarding online video to be set in the courts. I mean, with the H3H3 lawsuit, I don't know if it was that they settled or that Matt Hassanzadeh dropped charges. I don't remember the exact. I just know that there wasn't an actual ruling that set a precedent in that case.
I think it was a settlement, yeah, because the other one that I'm thinking of was the dismissed with prejudice, and that was James Ramin.
Yes, and so point being, we still have yet to actually have any cases that end in a ruling that would set a precedent for future trials. They all keep settling out of court. And so I think it's kind of more why people keep following these lawsuits is because having that precedent is important, especially if you're an attorney arguing a case that hasn't really been argued before in a court of law. If a precedent is set with specific rulings, it makes it that much easier to argue a case than when you're flying blind. And it's almost like you keep getting teased where you're just like, okay, nope, they're settling out of court. Okay, are we actually going to, nope. It's kind of one of those cases of when are we actually going to get something that will actually put us on the right track to enacting the right types of legislation and policies we need in place for internet video to evolve. And we keep getting blue-balled.
Pretty much. So it's kind of the second to last wrap-up question that we have tonight, and the other one I'm going to wrap into kind of the way that people can get a hold of us, but kind of the opposite. So, I mean, we had a lot of worse things to cover. What was the best thing that was able to either happen for the podcast in your assessment or for your channel in 2017, or the best story that we've had to cover on that? For me, I have no problem announcing this because I finally was able to get the podcasts onto iTunes and Google Play, and I'm actually in the works right now of getting them on Spotify, which is not an easy task because Spotify like heavily monitors the stuff that goes in there, especially if it's podcast. They really don't want too much in there. But that was an amazing thing for for it to happen to me, because I've been trying to get Geek News on there for a couple of years now. And this year I started up another podcast. Last year I started up a third. So at that point, not just to have the one podcast on iTunes, but all three available on iTunes, all three available on Google Play, was amazing for the podcast itself and for me, because it gave me a sigh of relief that I can now get this into a lot more people's hands. So I'm very happy about that. Let's go ahead and switch things up again. So Brenton, what was your favorite story event that happened in 2017 for you?
So I don't know if my answer is exactly going to work, but as we all know, life for me got into the way a little bit in 2017. I was like, I'll be honest, I felt like I was doing pretty good at the start of the year, and then the Final Fantasy 14 second expansion came out, and that dominated a lot of my summer. Nathan and I also had a pretty emotional August between learning how to become foster parents, and we also had to put down one of our dogs.
Aww.
But we did become licensed foster parents, which was super exciting for us. So we made one more step towards adoption. And we also got married, which was probably the greatest thing out of all of 2017 for me, honestly. But it also made me realize what my limitations were in terms of a gamer, a YouTuber, a student, a husband. And it made me, especially in the past couple of weeks, reassess what I wanted to do going forward into 2018. But additionally, another thing that brought me a lot of great joy was to see the success that the three of you have had throughout all of 2017, because I consider, you, Adam, Alex, Romney, you guys are some of my closest friends, and I sincerely missed coming onto the podcast for the majority of 2017, due mainly because I was just, I'll be honest, I was busy with the MMO, and I was just like, I need to get this done. Or I was saying goodbye to a furry little friend. But I still, I still persisted. I still made myself known. I still came on the best that I could, and you all, continued to welcome me with open arms. And by doing so, I was still able to see the individual successes that the three of you had, and that brought me extreme, immense joy. I think that's why the whole PewDiePie shenanigans that we covered and that we had to go through really, really upset me, because I know what you three are doing is very, very important to you. Not that YouTube's not important to me, because I'm able to express my creativity and express my love for video games through this incredible hobby. But I know that when people do really, really crappy stuff like that, it hurts you all. And just to see you all rise above it and continue to have the success you did, that was what made that was the best thing of 2017 for me. One of the best things. Of course, I'm going to put my marriage above that, but
yeah. Let's just go ahead and play favorites here. That would probably be a good idea, Brenton.
But that for me is my response to the question. And so, right. I can promise a little bit better that this year I'll have a lot more presence. Just because I have rededicated myself to my hobby, and Nathan and I were able to kind of sit down and figure out, where are my priorities, so I'm not stretching myself too thin like I did in 2017. And so far, I'm going back to an old recording and uploading schedule, and so far I'm really, really pleased with some of the content that I've already recorded. And that's why I'm super excited for the start of a very, very long series that's starting tomorrow. And it's after I recorded, edited, and everything, I was like, this is, in my honest opinion, this is some of my best work so far. And I just cannot wait to share it with you all.
Very nice. Stephen Romney, what was the best thing that happened for you for 2017? Could be your channel, could be the podcast, could be anything.
Oh, that is tough, especially with what Brenton's been saying. It's got me a little bit wibbly, so. But I guess in terms of just my personal life, and it's something I mentioned in my year-end vlogs briefly, I haven't gone into the full details, but I guess the best thing, I guess not so much that happened to me, but the best decision that I made was starting to go to therapy, going to counseling, and finally having some of my deep-seated emotional issues addressed. Because that, I mean, yeah, some days are rough, especially when you're dealing with things like depression, and in my case, depression coupled with anger. But honestly, finally having it addressed, finally actually working with people who know what they're doing to get those issues addressed has made my life start to take a turn for the better. I mean, I still got a lot of things to clean up in my life as a result of, well, past actions, but at the very least, I like the direction my life is going now, as opposed to where it would be going had I not made the decision to finally get the help I needed for years and years and years. And that is the most I can say about it. I actually do plan on making a video going into like a full detail explaining kind of the rise and fall, and it's ballooned up into something much larger than I expected it to be, because it was just going to be a vlog, but it's become much, much bigger. Okay. But I guess that would be the best thing, is me finally deciding to start going to therapy, start going to counseling to get some issues addressed. And I guess as a nice little runner-up is the fact that I lost 35 pounds over the course of last year, because that's also something that took a lot of hard work and a lot of self-control to achieve. I'm still now trying to make... Yeah, now I'm at the point where I'm actually trying to get back into shape, but that's also a nice plus that is also big, is that, hey, I'm losing weight and actually eating like a normal, healthy person for a change.
That's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like, I kid you not, I literally never thought I would be eating salads on a regular basis as much as I have been for the past few months alone. I'm just like, 10-year-old me would be losing his goddamn mind at this point.
Yes, that's amazing for you, and congrats on that, Romney. So, Alex, what was the best thing that happened in 2017, either for your channel, for your life, whatever it is?
I guess as my channel goes, really, it's great to see that I'm continuing to grow, continuing to improve, continuing to gain traction. In particular, I just had like 2 videos this year that kind of blew up. Not in quite a viral sensation necessarily, like getting tens of millions of views, but, you know, getting quite a substantial amount of views. And they're 2 videos I can look on and say, yeah, I did that. That's me. That's my pride. Because there's been a few videos over the years that I've made on any one of my channels here, there, wherever, that have done extremely well, but it's like, yeah, but they're not my own. It's either a clip I've reposted from somewhere or something. But in this case, I've had a couple of my own videos gain a pretty good chunk of views and a good chunk of commentary and discussion in them, and I love that.
Very nice.
So I'm just glad to see my channel keeps growing.
Very good. All right, so that's actually a really great way to start wrapping things up. But I'm going to add something extra to you guys' contact info that you guys are going to go into in a second, and that is one thing that you're looking forward to in 2018. It could be something going on with your channel. It could be a game that's coming out, a movie that's coming out. What are you looking forward to in 2018? And we're going to start things off with Brenton. So how do people get a hold of you, and one thing that you're looking forward to in 2018?
Well, I can be found here on YouTube and Twitter. I have just reinvented my channel name to BPV Gaming.
I'm going to interrupt you there. BPV Gaming.
Thanks.
There you go.
I actually said it like correctly without screwing up, so I'm feeling really proud of myself right now. But that's how you can find me, BPV Gaming. That was partially because it's my initials and I didn't want to have this like super long drawn out channel name. You can go check out a video explaining all that. I'm not going to explain it here again. I can also be reached on Twitter at bvolley01. A little plug that I'm just going to put in real quick. I'm super excited. And again, I go into more detail about this in the video I put up on January 1st, but very inspired by our good podcast host, Adam. I am doing what I am calling an extended play of Final Fantasy XIV, and that series begins tomorrow at 12 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. And so I have made a special introductory video, which I highly recommend watching first, and that will be followed by episode 1, which will also release tomorrow. It is a series that I am playing long term, very slow paced, and so it is a new episode. New episodes come out every single Saturday. And again, it's always at 12 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. And we're just going to have fun. We're just going to go slow. I'm going to show off as much content as I can. Just because where I'm starting, the content came out fresh and brand new, I believe 2012. So there's a lot of things that I'm still a little apprehensive whether or not I'll be able to get enough people to do the content with, but I am going to do my best. And then additionally, I have my first Triad Let's Play announcement on Monday, and that will also be at 12 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time.
Very nice.
And so I guess one thing that I'm super excited for in 2018, Square, I can't remember if it was Square Enix or Crystal Dynamics, but they made an announcement on Twitter that they were going to
talk about the Tomb Raider event.
Yep.
I think it was Square Enix that announced it because Crystal Dynamics is under them.
So, we're going to be getting the third game in the reboot trilogy this year. And I really, really loved what they said in their tweet, how they were going to have a proper announcement and that the game was going to come out shortly after that. And so new Tomb Raider game, Tomb Raider movie. I may have also purchased the original 1990s Tomb Raiders on Steam because of this, because I love Tomb Raiders. So that is what I am looking forward to this year.
Very nice. Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost Utah. How do people get a hold of you? Plus, one thing you're looking forward to in 2018.
Well, you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/Studio Ghost Utah. That is also how you can find me on Facebook, thanks to my new Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Studio Ghost Utah. And I am also on Twitter at Romney Reviews. As for what I'm looking forward to this year, at least that I can think off the top of my head, well, it's a tie between two things. One is that the next Shout Factory release of the Super Sentai series comes out on the 30th with Seiju Sentai Gingaman. And then the other major thing I'm looking forward to that I'm sure a lot of people are excited for, Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of Arc System Works' games, and, well, Dragon Ball is part of my childhood. So as much as I may dislike Super, a video game that is a fighting game based in Dragon Ball Z, made by the people who made Guilty Gear, who are diehard fans of Dragon Ball Z, I'm not going to pass that up.
Yeah, and you might get a call when I get around to doing my try of it, and also for some review footage. I'm just hinting at a few things here because it's a fighting game and multiplayer is a thing.
Yep, and let's face it, you don't have the greatest experience with fighting games, whereas that's more my wheelhouse. So,
I will wholeheartedly I'm a fighting game. I'm a fighting game fan, but you've trumped me, sir. You have more know-how than I do.
Well, marginally. I wouldn't be able to compete professionally. I just know a little bit, and Arc System mechanics, they tend to be a bit complex. So there's probably going to be some mechanics that even I'll struggle with.
But bottom line, Fighters is looking really good. So I'm very excited for it. Alex, the Shadow Blazer. How do people get a hold of you? Plus, what one thing that you're looking forward to in 2018?
Well, you can find me here on YouTube. Shadow Blazer 3000 is my channel, and the anime content is what I produce, as well as the occasional Let's Play. Also, you can follow me on social media at AlexJShort on Twitter. As to what I'm looking forward this year, I guess I also have a 2-for-2er. Starting tomorrow is the new sequel series of the Cardcaptor Sakura franchise. I'm really looking forward to that. look anxious to see what they're going to do, where they're going to take the story, and looking forward to it. I mean, that is one of my favorite anime, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this new sequel is going to bring. Also, speaking of sequels, there's also a sequel to the Sound Euphonium series from the last couple of years, a movie that's coming out, fittingly enough. It's from the director of A Silent Voice. She's directing this new movie. It's called Liz and the Bluebird, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully that'll be available sometime this year, because movies take forever to come out.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much guaranteed you're waiting at least 6 months for a movie to come from Japan to here.
Yeah, at least. So I'm hoping maybe if we're lucky, we'll get some limited theatrical screenings. Who knows? But I'm really looking forward to it, just because I loved that series and looking forward to seeing what these new movie follow-ups will do.
All right. And if people want to get a hold of me, the best place to do so, at least for my YouTube page or my YouTube channel, is you can follow me on Twitter, which is @Drac2326. And you can also follow my YouTube channel on Facebook. Look up DracLP, and you'll be able to get access to all of the YouTube content that I provide. Mostly it's Let's Plays. I do game reviews. I do try segments with those game reviews. Lots of stuff there. In fact, there's actually going to be some additional stuff coming out in 2018 that goes towards my other passion, my other love, voiceover. So at that point, you guys have lots to look forward to there. I actually, I've been on a vacation for a month, and you guys have no idea what I did with it. I sat and wrote like a bunch of scripts for a few projects that I want to take on next year, in particular, a lot of top 10s. And I didn't plan on that. That just happened. So I'm looking forward to getting that stuff out to you guys. The stuff that I'm looking forward to in 2018 is going to sound cheap and schlocky and pluggy, but I don't care, because all the stuff that we were able to do this year is only going to get better from here. We actually have a bunch of stuff in the works that I'm not spoiling for anybody, that I think all of you guys are going to be able to love. Just basically being able to step outside of the podcast and being able to do all of the other awesome stuff that these guys have going for their channels. I know that a lot of us have kind of done a vlog video that said, like, YouTube is not necessarily our focus, but we still love you guys, and you guys are our focus. And so we still have lots of awesome things that we want to do for you in 2018. In particular, Gaming with the Geeks is going to be returning, not necessarily to its original format, although we have heard you guys, and we will be doing that. It's just not going to be as regular as people may want it. But Gaming with the Geeks is returning because, Brinton, you and me have some unfinished business. And in fact, Alex and Romney, we have some unfinished business when it comes to the legacy of Hideo Kojima. And in fact, Romney, you and I have not done a game together. This must change.
Indeed.
So we will make this work. And in fact, there is a video that actually will be asking for you guys' opinion on what that should be. The only reason I haven't been able to put it up is because for some reason my hard drive filled up at the end of the year, and I've literally had nowhere to put the dang video so I can upload it. So it's going to be coming up this weekend. I can guarantee you guys on that. But there's so much stuff there that we are looking forward to bringing to you guys, and all because we love and appreciate you all, both old and new fans, for our channels, for the podcast, all of that stuff. And I guess that's the other thing I'm looking forward to, is being able to put this in so many more new hands, more new eyes, more new ears, for you guys to be able to enjoy the podcast that we love doing for you each week. And with that, if you guys want to support the podcast, there are a couple of ways to do that. First of all, support our RSS feed, which is geekyweek.podomatic.com. That's where you can get access to the episodes as they go up, and we're going to be able to get them up a lot more regularly, so don't worry too much about that. And they are available on iTunes, and for Android users, you can have it on Google Play. So go ahead and check those out on your smartphones and enjoy us on your daily commute. You can also support us on the various social media platforms under the exact same name. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook under Geeky NRO and be able to get up-to-the-minute information when we're going live, the stuff we're going to be talking about, the awesome stuff that's going to be coming to all of our channels, and we're going to try to incorporate all of that stuff into Geek News, because that's what I want to be able to do with it. So you guys are going to be able to get that too. There are a couple of other unique announcements that are coming. I'm going to keep you guys in the dark on those ones until they officially come out, though. So those are the best ways to be able to support us. And also, if you want to submit stories or be able to submit feedback for the podcast, you can do so at geekyweek@gmail.com. And that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. Thank you guys so much for all of the support that you guys have given us throughout all of 2017. 2018 is looking bright, even though we do have some negative stories to get into next week. But at least the podcast is going to continue to do what we do best, which is we're going to critique it. We're going to give you the news as it stands. We're going to give you our opinions, whether you agree or disagree. But we're all going to have a fun time while we do it. And we get to have you guys along for the ride. So thank you guys so much for watching. And until next week, for me, for Romney, for Brinton, and for Alex, we will see you guys next week for even more geek news, reviews, and opinions. See, Romney, I'm saluting, and there's a camera this time. You guys will have to listen to the other podcast to be able to get that. Later.